Let's bring in now to the conversation Amir, who is joining us on the phone from Israel. Amir, I know we're keeping your whereabouts secret, we're keeping your surname secret, but you were embroiled in this unprovoked terrorist attack on Saturday. Maybe you wouldn't mind just telling us what happened.
Yeah. I was visiting my mom in the kibbutz of Nahal Oz, nearby the Gazan border. I'm 26 years old, so I live in Tel Aviv for now, but I came to visit at Friday, and well, we were awoken. Me, my wife, and my sister. We were home. My mom wasn't there at the time.
Yeah.
We were awoken with missile alarms, but I've lived there my whole life, 20 and something years, and so we're pretty much used to rocket fire sirens. So we run to the safe room, to our in-house safe room, as we are so very used to. And at that point, we understand that something's wrong because the intensity and the duration of that rocket attack was just intense, way worse than anything we've ever experienced in our lives. My sister is 30 years old, I'm 26 years old, so it was pretty obvious that at an early point that something was different. So we sit there, just waiting for it to be over. And well, a kibbutz is a tiny community, and we have this group, or this WhatsApp group, that conveys messages regarding the security situation. And we started hearing from that group that the army has identified multiple terrorist infiltrators at the border.
Yeah.
And well, that's something that we didn't hear for a long time, relatively speaking, but something that happened before. But it was just strange at the time because this super intense rocket attack and then an infiltration attempt. It was kind of weird, but we stuck in the safe room at that time.
Yeah.
And then we started hearing gunshots. First, they were pretty far. Then they started getting closer.
Yeah.
We lived there our whole lives, so we know how machine gun sounds and how missile hit sounds and how a tank fire sounds. And we really know the sound, so we already understand that something is seriously wrong. Although we didn't receive any information at that point. Basically, we were from a pretty early point disconnected, but we started hearing the news at that point that there's a massive terrorist attack going on in southern Israel, and we were really glued to the screens just to know what's going on, because we were basically locked in a room. We were told not to go out and for anything, not to step outside because there are probably terrorists going around us. At that point, we were basically locked in a room that isn't built for these kinds of situations. It's basically just for recoil and shrapnel, but not someone trying to open it. So the doors don't lock and the windows don't lock. And at that point, we're basically horrified because we understand that there are terrorists in the kibbutz and there's fighting going on nearby. We couldn't know for sure how close it was, but as the time went by, it came closer and closer and closer and closer. We start hearing very, very close by gunfights, heavy machine gun fire, bombings continuously. It was not like a couple of minutes and that's it. It was for hours. And we sit in the safe room with the lights off, with me holding the handle, because it's the only way to prevent someone from stepping inside, because there is no lock. So I'm holding the handle. At that point, I don't know, a couple of hours. We were there from 6 in the morning, I guess, until about 3 in the afternoon. We didn't really know what was going on. At some point, we started hearing voices inside the house. We're not even capable of knowing what's going on outside.
Amir, just listening to your description of that day is unbelievably frightening and ominous, and it's clear you have absolutely no idea if you're going to actually live in much longer, or whether you're going to be the next person, or what's going to happen. It's absolutely horrifying hearing your explanation of it. But now that day is behind you and you look back on it and you see what's about to happen next. Just very briefly, what are your thoughts now that you know about how many people were killed and raped, beheaded, abducted, and all the awful, awful things that were perpetrated against Israelis on that day? And also, what's going on in Gaza now and what might happen next pretty much any minute. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah. We're a tiny community. All these kibbutzes in southern Israel are tiny communities. Our kibbutz is 400 people. So, losing 25, 30 people, it's a huge portion of us. And we have had it good, opposed to some of the other settlements. It's heartbreaking. Yes. It's horrendous knowing that our neighbors, our friends were so brutally murdered. And it's horrifying just knowing that it's possible, because we lived our whole lives there with thinking that we're protected by the IDF, and we're completely sure that no one will do that. Although we knew that they wanted to do it, but we thought they didn't have the capability, and turns out we're wrong. And it's really horrifying, and it's horrifying just thinking that we went through that, and what people with family members, hostages with hostages in Gaza are feeling right now, and it's truly horrendous. And I've got friends in the IDF, and I've got friends and family in the IDF, and just knowing that they're going to step into Gaza is also horrifying, because you know the situation, and we know that not everyone is going to come back alive. And
Amir, I so appreciate you telling the story, and all of it is just horrifying in a way that it's almost impossible to comprehend. And I hugely appreciate you telling us about it on the program. Thank you very much indeed, and my very best wishes to you and to your family as well.